Chapter 7, Jumping for Jesus. In poetry, they sat at home with nothing to do, not even their phones provide a cue. So they walked to her car to go to the bar, not too far, and look, who do they see? Him, the neighbor, Malakis, him should they see. The errands to run that he will decree, the bare introduction puts panic in he, an urge to flee. His conversation lacks imagination, stationary compared to other cohorts. His identification is a pile of stony debris. Why would she call to he? Kevin and Toni cross paths with Malakis along the apartment hall, in plainer terms, as they leave for downtown Portland. Kevin fears that Toni will invite Malakis on their lonesome journey. He fears the possibility of a fervent alpha male conflict between him and Malakis, possibly culminating in a physical face-off. Kevin's alpha male inclination always overtakes his usual personality when provoked inconsiderably. So for this reason, he just smiles and lends a simple nod of acknowledgement along the cross paths. Toni, however, has other plans. She greets Malakis and follows with an embrace. Meanwhile, the nod of acknowledgement remains the only appropriate response between the two men. The nod of acknowledgement is the alpha male's greeting, like a caveman's grunt. The Outline Urban Dictionary defines the nod of acknowledgement as a nod of the head as an agreement between any two men, not just friends. It is an unspoken greeting in which another man's nod is an appropriate response. The nod of acknowledgement greeting establishes nonverbal recognition. A simple nod of the head primarily respected by men. For example, let's say two fine gentlemen, each with curly mustaches and classy late 19th century attire, pass along one another on a cobblestone street. Both of the top hat-laden gents strut along with their canes at hand and chain pocket watches. The two fine gentlemen leer and nod, chins tilted downward as their paths cross. In this nonverbal gesture, both parties share utter respect for one another. There is an unspoken code. A man nods upward for established cohorts, followed with a smile and a verbal greeting. A man nods downward for an unfamiliar other, but also mutual respect. Kevin and Toni were planning to head to Portland alone, but the plans might change with Toni's particular intervention. "Hey, George," Toni says, "do you have any curable diseases?" Not that I'm aware of," Malakis responds. "Great! Then you can join Kevin as my second wingman. Do you want to head for Portland with us?" Malakis thinks for a moment. "What time is it? What time are you guys leaving?" "We're heading out right now, but we can wait if you're interested," Toni says. Malakis closes his apartment door but doesn't like it. "Could you guys help carry my groceries up?" Toni nods. "Sure." Kevin and Toni assist him in toting the rest of his groceries from his car. In process, Malakis has a change of heart. "George," Toni asks, "the job's done. How long are you until you're ready?" Malakis says, "I'm sorry to say this, but I think I'll pass on the second thought. I'm just going to stay home and read." "No!" exclaims Toni. "You're going out with us, even if I have to drag you by the hair." Malakis stops a childish defensive pose. "Not by the hair, my chinny chin chin." Kevin interrupts, wanting to escape and avoid the course of the conversation. "I forgot my wallet in your apartment. Can I borrow the key?" Toni fishes in her bag and practically thrusts the keys at Kevin. All the while and afterward, she verbally pushes Malakis to come. Now, look here, Dino George Malakis, Toni says, pointing her finger in his face. We're getting his wallet, and then we're coming back by. She looks at her watch, tapping the face. 15 minutes to haul you off with us. You're going to be ready. Malakis maintains his stance, declaring, No, I won't be ready when you come, because I'm not going with you. Toni points at him as she heads back to her apartment. Yes, you will come, and you will obey. Malakis sighs and closes the door, resigned to participating. In due time, also known as 25 minutes, Kevin and Toni return to Malakis' apartment. Kevin hums Joe Jackson's Steppin' Out on the way out. Malakis opens his door before they even knock, apparently more prepared to keep the time frame than those who said it. He steps out, finally dressed, groomed, and ready to go. The group drives to Portland, arriving after 2 hours. As they turn off the final exit, Kevin comments on the specific destination. I bet we're going to 2nd Street. Ooh, Toni says. I never discussed the location specifics with you. That's impressive. How did you figure out where we're going? My trivia psychic predictions know everything, Kevin says, referencing the SNL skit. Are you an actual psychic? Toni asked, the reference apparently lost. Yes, I don't know where these powers come from, though, replies Kevin. Tell me a prediction. Kevin touches Toni's forehead, then convulses and shakes. You're going to drink ice water and get a splitting headache in the center of your forehead. Toni begins laughing. I knew you weren't a psychic, says Toni. Kevin shrugs and resettles in his car. In reality, 2nd Street is each metropolitan's bar scene. I never noticed that. So search for a major city 2nd Street to find the bar scene. That's correct, Kevin says. For the most part, 2nd Street is every city's bar scene. Finally, they arrive. They pull into a parking garage 1 block away from the 2nd Street nightlife. The Portland City's lights are aglow upon the slick, bruised, blue-gray pavement. The rush of life ripples through the Portland rainy mist, echoing into the heart of the city. The picture-cue Portland night scene pans out before their eyes. Kevin imagines it set to Into the Light by the Pixies. The trio's Portland travel truly begins as Kevin, Toni, and Malakis search for the meaning of life. Kevin's previous travels taught him the moral and legal consequences of bringing unwanted attention. Always treat others with respect, but follow your instincts when approached on the street, for donations or otherwise. He encountered erratic personalities during previous city stopovers and military deployments, not to mention his former experience getting mugged by thugs. Still, he believes everyone should make generous decisions about whom and how to help. In most cases, it's safe to think that people won't ask for help, even if help isn't needed. In the end, good deeds without violent conflict become every traveler's goal in these situations. Kevin's pockets always carry spare change as a diplomatic solution to panhandlers. However, his significant cash remains tucked in his socks, with only lesser bills in his billfold. He also hides cash in his zipper compartment of his Spec Ops brand wallet as a secondary precaution. He often loses track of the contained money. He decides to voice a rendition of a public safety announcement like in the 1980s G.I. Joe cartoons. Hey guys, let's ensure that we, as a group, mind our own business. Move with purpose through the city and keep eye contact at minimum. Look straight ahead whenever possible and never look down. Always stay aware of the street signs and surroundings in case of an emergency. A simple glance or a simple motion may invite strange and likely unwanted attention. There are many ways to agree to compromises without outsiders unknowingly. There are many ways to agree with compromises with outsiders unknowingly, and we don't want any of those hassling us. Toni and Malakis both respond, "Sir, yes, sir!" The Portland nightlife shimmers through the city's gray sheen and drizzled mist as the three walks closer. They step through the hallways of neon lights. Kevin snapping pictures like a tourist. They pass the Chinatown gate and a drag queen bar. Kevin, Toni, Malakis each reach Skid Row, progressing past the squatters and through a gray gloom among the Second Street lights. They stroll past a group of men standing along the busy sidewalk. Suddenly one of the strange men springs into the trio's comfort zone. A mid-30s Caucasian in a t-shirt and jeans awkwardly approaches Kevin, Toni, and Malakis. He's too wide-smiled and suspiciously friendly. Demeanors shine like the beacon out of their peripheral vision. Kevin peers at his watch while looking ahead, hoping to ignore the approaching stranger. Excuse me, sirs and ma'am," he says. "Do any of you know how to get to Salem?" We're from out of state and incapable of giving directions," Kevin says, not even turning his head. "Sorry, we can't help you." The trio attempts to distance themselves from the stranger, diverting their gaze elsewhere and maintaining stoic facial expressions. The stranger follows them, thoroughly unsettling to Kevin. To Kevin, the man keeps precautionary diligence as a solitary soldier. Kevin anticipates a confrontation with the three strange men and mentally prepares himself for them versus Kevin struggle. The same stranger approaches the trio once again. "Can I ask you a question? I'm a Navy veteran. Do any of you have some change to spare? I'm stranded and I need to get back home." "How much money do you need to get back home?" asks Toni. The stranger replies, "Whatever you can spare." Kevin reaches into his pocket where he keeps his substantial money for change. "Here you go," he says. 50 cents is all I can spare. I have $10, but for this night on the town, but it's only for this night on the town. I'm broke until next week." "Thanks, dude," the stranger says. "This is fine and God bless." "May God bless you too," Kevin replies. The trio and Caucasian male go separate ways. A few moments and paces later, Malakis has a question. "Why did you give that bum money?" asked Malakis. Kevin replied, "Well, I felt bad for him. He looked thirsty. He looked like he could use another bottle of liquor or maybe some meth to wash it down with." "That's messed up. We have to get that 50 cents back," said Malakis, not entirely serious. "But how? Find him and mug him? We don't know where he went." "No, we don't have to mug him. We'll randomly ask others for change until we get it all back," said Malakis. That's an excellent idea, Malakis, jets Kevin. And very Greek of you. Ha! I know. I used to play a Greek character on TV. Toni says, we should ask for pennies instead of silver. A lot of people throw pennies away and would happily donate. We'll clean the donations later. Kevin, Toni, and Malakis proceed down the next street, randomly asking passerbys for spare change and having fun while doing it. A derelict coming the opposite way with a similar task, somewhat resembling the late actor Michael Clark Duncan, symmetrically cries without solicitation. They come across an outsider bar. They come across an outdoor bar with a street sign, varnished pub and patio. They uproot the sign and kick the street and kick down the street, taking turns stumbling over it to move it further and further. When they did, they felt conspicuous. Sorry about that moment. Okay. Suddenly, a Dodge Ram truck passes, a female passenger exclaiming, "Woo-hoo!" out the window. It pulls up to the curve and lets her onto the street. She approaches the group. "Hey, you guys," she says. "I'm Celeste. How are you doing? Do you guys know a motel around here?" "Not yet," replies Kevin, somewhat on guard, slightly on point. "Can I spend the night with you guys? I don't have anywhere to stay and I just smoked some crack." Without delay, she rapidly looks around while vigorously scratching the side of her neck. Kevin, Toni, and Malakis glance at one another as she digs into her neck's flesh. It's so convenient. It simply can't be an act. "We're about to eat and then cruise," Kevin says. Think about the possibilities with her in the group for the night. "Can I join you guys?" she asked. "Sure," he replies. The trio and Celeste walk to a nearby diner where Kevin buys her lunch. "Stay here," says Kevin. We'll be back shortly, but we have some business to attend to." "Don't leave me here," Celeste says. "I don't have anywhere else to go." "Stay here," Kevin reaffirms. "Don't worry, we'll be back later." Kevin, Toni, and Malakis leave the diner for a parking garage, pay and check out. After cruising the straightways for a while, they navigate to the restaurant, expecting to see Celeste eating inside. Instead, she's scratching her neck in the outdoor seating alongside a cowboy wearing a big belt buckle. "Whew, thank goodness," Malakis says. "That guy took our problem away." Kevin says, "I feel bad for her, but there's just nothing we can do for her." "I agree," says Toni. "Besides, you guys don't want to catch crabs, lobsters, or something else." "I'd hit that," Malakis exclaims. "I'd hit that with a small truck." They take the car back to the garage, and the Second Street campaign proceeds once again. On the same walk and picking up the same soliciting routine. Malakis requests a couple's opinion for a hot spot to visit alongside some change. They lead the trio to Habu's, an Oriental-themed bar not too far away. Habu's only serves Oriental brand alcoholic beverages ranging from imported beer to Okinawan Habu snake and Korean soju. An Asian hobo sits outside with a guitar while shouting, "Hey motherfuckers, give me some money," to them. A couple introduces Eddie the Bum, a middle-aged man from Okinawa, Japan. Eddie begs for money every night at Habu's. The couple points to Eddie's newer model Cadillac parked around the corner, earning Eddie's middle finger. After their work completes, the couple departs. Kevin, Toni, and Malakis hang outside Habu's for a while, observing Eddie the bum. His guitar is broken with only 3 fully attached strings, all worn and out of tune. The other 3 guitar lines dangle off the side, but look comparatively intact. He forcefully plays the guitar while the illusion of chord progression, perfect hand positions, but a terrible noise. Figuratively speaking, Eddie plays like a toddler, clearly mastering the art of static noise. To accompany his guitar, he sings in his raspy Asian tone voice while beating the guitar strings. Eddie sings,
La 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 la, hey motherfuckers, give me some money. Hey motherfuckers, give me some money. La 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 la.
Eventually, a brutish party of 4 with military haircuts surround Eddie. Toni looks concerned, but Kevin gestures for her to wait. Hey Eddie, sing us a song, says one of them.
La 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 la, Eddie sings. Hey motherfucker, give me some money.
The most giant brute yells to the sky, Hey, you motherfucker! All 4 guys laugh afterward. They each make small donations to Eddie before entering Habu's. Before the trio heads in themselves, Toni donates $1, and Eddie sings one more time in his best raspy Asian voice.
La 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 la, hey motherfucker, give me some money.
Kevin, Toni, and Malakis drink single shots of Habu snake sake, soju, and who knows what else at the Oriental bar before leaving. They decide to leave before getting truly intoxicated to keep the night going. They head back in the previous direction, once again picking up the soliciting routine. Sorry about that. Eventually, they make their way back to Varnish Pub and Patio, but they encounter the sign first. Once again, the trio takes turn kicking the sandwich board type Masque sign down the street as they kick it past the bar. And from whence it came down, Kevin sings, Milk, milk, lemonade, around the corner, fudge is made. Toni and Malakis kick the sign while intentionally stumbling, making complaints along the lines of, Who put that sign there? Someone should have it removed. They leave it in front of the French cafe-style bar. It seems fitting. Random pedestrians donate their spare change, primary pennies, to Toni's idea. They haven't walked this way along the road yet, despite this being their 3rd time around along with it. Only now does the view become apparent. Along the straight road, the radiant office space lights, orange, yellow, and white, penetrate the Portland mist, illuminating the gray gloom. They come upon a Jamaican man standing among the lights as a relaxed gatekeeper. He leans back as if whiffing the fresh night air. Odd, given the rancid smell coming from the alley to the right. The Jamaican's Rasta cap complements his dreadlock hairstyle. The particularly fluorescent lights from the office building behind him set the cap aglow. All the colors, plainly seen, shades of black, red, yellow, and green. Malakis says, let's ask that dude over there for some change. I'm curious about what kind of establishment that place is. There's no foot traffic or a sign of business. Who's sponsoring the highly illuminated lights at the dead end of this gloomy block? A considerable large cross stands atop the office space, a beacon for the lost souls. The trio draws closer. The happy-go-lucky man stands outside the inner city church with his hands in his pockets as Malakis approaches the Jamaican man. Malakis asks, excuse me, sir, where are you from? I'm from Jamaica, the gentleman replies in a distinctly Jamaican accent. How are all you doing tonight? I'm good, Malakis answered. Did you turn this office space into a church? Yes, we did, the man replies. This is an excellent place to reach. This is an excellent place to teach about God's good work on a weekend night. Malakis says, that's amazing! I've never seen an office space turned into a church. So do you love Jesus? The Jamaican dude replies, Of course I love Jesus. There wouldn't be a better life than without serving him. So, if you love Jesus, says Malakis, then would you jump for Jesus? The Jamaican man crosses his arms without delay and glares away from Kevin, Toni, and Malakis. I do not do such acts for infidels. I will not be unrighteous before God. Infidels? Malakis exclaims. That's messed up. I love Jesus. I jump for him any time. He jumps. See? The Jamaican man remained silent, arms folded, and gazed to the sky. The shock and awe of asking such an immature act from a holy man are painfully evident to everyone but Malakis. Malakis asks, well, can I ask you another question? Sure, proceed, says the Jamaican man. May I have some change, particularly your pennies? The Jamaican dude replies, sure, you can have some pennies. He gleefully digs into his pocket for change, carefully picks out the pennies and donates them to Malakis. Thanks, dude, Malakis says, and God bless you. God bless you as well, says the gentleman, and I'll be praying for you. Kevin, Toni, and Malakis part ways with the holy man. The inner city church sits as an outer limit to the Portland nightlife. Passing the garage and finding nothing of interest beyond it, they once again double check, now going along the same path for the fourth time, like a merchant continuously tracing the same trail. Of course, now the law of diminishing returns truly takes effect as the trio struggles within the depths of creativity find entertainment. They see the sandwich board marquee sign again, but don't even make it back to varnish before giving up the efforts. Still all the day they continue soliciting for pocket change, mostly pennies. Finally they make a unanimous vote to head to the Pirates Bar as the next party station, located near the crosswalk they're approaching anyway. As the trio stands among a crowd at the sidewalk, waiting for either the green light or an absence of crossing traffic, they, but mainly Malakis, finally breaks the silence over the controversy with the Jamaican holy man. I can't believe that dude wouldn't jump for Jesus, he says. I mean, I love Jesus too, and I'd probably jump for him at any time. He jumps. He jumps to prove his point. See? And he called us infidels for wanting him to do the same. I can't say that word. Shaking his head, Kevin replies, I know. That was just all messed up. We're all going to hell. Kevin points at the guy across the street at the opposite crosswalk. I bet that guy over there loves Jesus. And if he does, I bet he'd jump for him. The man in question resembles Paul Marcarelli, Verizon's early 2000s commercial spokesman and Sprint's current commercial spokesman a decade later. As referenced, the Verizon guy wears designer jeans with a gray designer t-shirt and a set of thick plastic horn-rimmed glasses. The pedestrian light turns green and both sides swarm the sidewalk. Malakis stops the stranger in the crosswalk center. Excuse me, sir. Do you have time for a little questioning? The Verizon dude replies, sure, with a half smile above his elong chin and his hands in his pockets. Do you love Jesus? Asked Malakis. Of course I love Jesus, replied the Verizon dude. If you love Jesus, would you jump for Jesus? Asked Malakis, glancing back at the other two. Of course I would jump for Jesus any time, replies the Verizon dude. Can I see you jump for Jesus then? Malakis finishes. Sure, says the Verizon guy. He jumps. Malakis shouts, see? That's what I'm talking about! With his arms wildly swinging, irritating many of those actually using the crosswalk. He doesn't care. I'm glad someone around here loves Jesus. I love Jesus, and I'd jump for it at any time. This Jamaican guy up the street said he loved Jesus, but he wouldn't jump for Jesus. And then he called us infidels. How messed up is that? The Verizon guy shakes his head. That's all messed up, man. If I may ask you one more question, can I have some change? I want your pennies. Sure, says the Verizon guy as he digs some pennies from his bag. You can have some more pennies and all for a good cause. Malakis says, thanks, dude, and God bless you. You keep showing that love for Jesus and keep jumping for him no matter what anyone says. Kevin comments with an exaggerated southern accent. Everyone say, amen. Kevin, Toni, and Malakis part ways with the Verizon dude while moving towards the Pirates Bar.